where we closely meet you, Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Public Study of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Mr. President, Excellencies all, I bring greetings on behalf of Prime Minister Philip Davis, and as I look around the hall, I'm pleased to see familiar faces from Havana. I look forward to meeting more delegates at this important grouping here in Kampala. As fellow members of G77, we have an obligation to leverage our collective bargaining power and shape global policy and influence global norms, structures, and institutions. Under Cuba's leadership, the G77 and China has given much attention to critical issues as debt relief, climate finance, sustainable development, and poverty eradication. We look forward to Uganda's leadership, which we know will continue to advocate for the interests of the Global South with determination, agility, innovation, and most importantly, solidarity. So we're an archipelagic state of 700 islands. We're extremely vulnerable to external economic shocks and greatly impacted by the effects of climate change. We've suffered several major hurricanes in the past decade. Hurricane Dorian in 2019 caused US $3.4 billion in damage, equivalent to 25% of the Bahamas GDP. In her preliminary observations, the Kenyan legal scholar and independent expert on the effects of foreign debt, Dr. Tia Waris, cautioned that, and we quote here, "The Bahamas is currently faced with great challenges, in particular owing to its ranking as a high-income country in the current climate change context. These challenges greatly affect its capacity to maintain a stable economy and develop progressively while raising funds to provide for the basic needs of its population, but also to adapt and rebuild repeatedly after the increasing occurrence of natural disasters," and I end the quote. In other words, our climate vulnerability has an adverse impact on our full and effective enjoyment of human rights, including our right to development. For the Bahamas, foreign exchange earnings are produced by both tourism and financial services, which are the two main economic pillars of our economy. Many countries in the Global South, including the Bahamas, offer tax and other incentives to attract investment in tourism, export processing, and manufacturing. And yet we are portrayed as a danger to the revenue basis of the developed nations just by our existence. International tax administration and cooperation has harmed us. Our sovereignty has been infringed, tax competition is threatened, economic growth and development has been hindered. Against this backdrop, the risk of climate change and increasing sea levels have exacerbated the vulnerability of already fragile countries in the region. It is imperative that we examine these issues and seek to ensure equity and inclusivity in the measures taken to address these concerns. As the members of the Group of 77 in China are aware, United Nations General Assembly Resolution 78/230 of 23 December 2023 allowed for the creation of the United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. Following this hard-won and timely contribution to the betterment of the international financial architecture, the Bahamas will serve, among other GRULAC member states, together with the other four regions of UN member states, as a member of the ad hoc open-ended intergovernmental committee to prepare draft terms of reference for a United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. We really look forward to close collaboration with the G77 in China as we seek to secure a more inclusive international tax system. The G77, which in 50 years has grown from 77 to 135 member states, is a voice for the majority in a system built for a minority, a system that is gridlocked and unable to deliver consensus-based solutions for the people who need them most. The Security Council of the UN has failed to implement certain General Assembly resolutions, and looking back on 2023, 6 vetoes were cast on 5 resolutions. This represents a higher volume than years past at a time where we are witnessing humanitarian catastrophes throughout the Global South. This is reminiscent of the 60s, where the procedures and working methods of the Council were subject to politicization and ideological divides resulted in inaction. We can't return to this pattern of polarization. The Caribbean, a region with a total population of approximately 44 million, understands what it means to be treated unequally in the international system. As a region, We've embraced the impulse of reform, and we've agreed to tackle council paralysis and reform in keeping with our common reform objectives of expansion of the Security Council, an enhanced role for developing countries, and a fixed time frame negotiations based on a single consolidated text. So we welcome Guyana joining the United Nations Security Council this month for the third time as a non-permanent member, and we ourselves are looking forward to putting forward our candidature during the 88th session of the UN General Assembly in 2031 for the term 2032-2033. The theme of this third South Summit is leaving no one behind. The more we increase our cooperation in areas of climate change, trade, investment, sustainable development, and digital transformation, the more likely we are to eradicate poverty and increase livelihood security and prevent conflict. It's an honor to be in Uganda. Pleased to be here. Mr. President, Excellencies, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.